Pat Smear is one of those names that might not command headlines on their own, but in the right circles, he is revered as a living piece of rock history. His journey is not the kind that blazes through fame with fireworks, but one that endures, quietly, consistently, and deeply human. Born Georg Albert Ruthenberg to a German Jewish father and African-American mother in Los Angeles, Pat never fit the mold of a typical rock star, and he never tried to. At just 13, he ran away from home, chasing not rebellion for rebellion's sake, but freedom. Freedom from rules, from structure, from the ordinary. That hunger for authenticity would shape everything that followed. In the late 90s, LA punk scene wasn't just a genre, it was a battlefield, a church, a refuge for misfits, and right in the middle of it was Pat co-founding the Germs with the chaotic Derby Crash. The Germs didn't play polished sets, they played sonic riots. Their live shows were known more for blood-broken instruments and arrests than for musicianship, but in that mess was something undeniable. Their only studio album, G.I. produced by Joan Jett, didn't just scream. It carved a place in punk history. Derby Crash was a flame that burned too fast and too wild. When he died of a heroin overdose in 1980, just one day before John Lennon was murdered, it was a cruel punctuation mark to a chaotic chapter of Pat's life. He was barely 21 and already haunted. In the years that followed, Pat drifted between roles, brief stints with other bands, occasional gigs, acting appearances, but he never forced his way into the spotlight. He was like a spirit lingering around the periphery of major moments that changed in 1993 when Nirvana invited him on as a touring guitarist. Suddenly, Pat Smear was part of the biggest band in the world, but Nirvana was fraying at the seams. Fame had become a poison. Kurt Cobain, fragile and brilliant, was spiraling. Pat didn't join Nirvana to find fame. He joined to play music. He brought calm into the eye of the storm. During their iconic MTV Unplugged in New York performance, his presence was steady and serene, a counterbalance to the rawness of Kurt's voice. That show, recorded in November 1993, would become one of the most emotional moments in rock history. A farewell cloaked as a concert. Less than 5 months later, Kurt was gone. The silence after his death was deafening. Crushed by the loss, Pat walked away. He didn't tour, he didn't record, he didn't speak about Nirvana. For 5 years, he vanished from music. The punk kid who once reveled in chaos now sought solitude. But then came a call from Dave Grohl, Nirvana's drummer turned Foo Fighters frontman. Dave was building something new, something born of pain, but driven by hope. He wanted Pat back. What began as a casual jam session turned into a rebirth. Pat joined the Foo Fighters in 1997, and the band quickly evolved into one of the most successful rock acts of the 2000s. Albums like There Is Nothing Left to Lose and Wasting Light weren't just critically acclaimed, they were cathartic. Pat once again wasn't the frontman, but he was the pulse, the unshakable rhythm beneath the soaring choruses. He brought history with him, painful, powerful, grounding throughout Foo Fighters' rise. Pat remained uniquely himself. No dramatic reinventions, no headline-grabbing stunts. He didn't write tell-all memoirs or chase magazine covers. But everyone in the band and everyone backstage knew Pat was the glue. When tensions rose, when tragedy struck, when the music needed something real, Pat was there. His life outside the band is as eclectic as his music career. He collects exotic pets, parrots, snakes, reptiles. He's a lifelong fan of Prince and 70s sitcoms. He shares a long-term loving relationship with his husband. He lives modestly, avoiding the traps of excess that swallow many in the business. Despite being part of 3 legendary bands, the Germs, Nirvana, Foo Fighters, he walks through life without arrogance. He's content to be the rhythm, not the spotlight. The ghosts of his past, though, are never far. Derby Crash, Kurt Cobain. More recently, Taylor Hawkins, Foo Fighters' beloved drummer, passed away suddenly, shocking the world. For Pat, it was another brother lost. At the tribute concerts for Hawkins, Pat's performances were deeply emotional. His guitar seemed to cry, his eyes often did, and yet, he returned to the stage the next night and the night after. Because that's what Pat does. He plays not for fame, not for applause, but because it matters. People ask why Pat Smear never did a solo album, never pushed for more attention. The answer is simple. He never wanted it. He's a servant of the song, a believer in the band. He knows the music is bigger than the ego. His legacy isn't in solos or spotlights. It's in his consistency, his heart, and his refusal to become anything other than himself. In a world where rock stars often implode under pressure, that Smear quietly survived. He endured punk's brutality, grunge's darkness, and the ever-hungry machine of the music industry. He's proof that you don't have to be the loudest to be the most lasting. His story is not one of reinvention, but of resilience. And in every chord he plays, you can hear the echo of every friend he's lost, every stage he stood on, every truth he's held close. Pat Smear doesn't chase legacy. He lives it one quiet moment at a time. Subscribe to Hollywood Untold for more emotional stories behind music legends and the feuds that shaped rock history.